I can still hear the sharp, cutting sound of my wife's voice from that night. Even though her eyes looked as cold as ice and she did not seem to feel bad at all, that sound still stays with me. We were sitting at our kitchen table, the one made of warm, dark wood. It was the same table we had picked out together with so much joy and excitement when we first moved into our house. Back then, we were two people full of hope and big dreams. On this night, I truly thought it would just be a normal, quiet evening. I expected her to complain about a long day at the office or tell me about the new people she met at the gym. But instead, she slowly set her metal fork down on the edge of her plate. She looked me right in the eyes and said, "I am moving in with Anthony. We are going to have a baby together." For a few seconds, it felt like the whole world just stopped moving. My wife, the person I had built my entire life around, had just taken the very ground from under my feet. At first, I honestly thought she was playing a mean trick on me. I even let out a small, nervous laugh, waiting for her to smile and tell me she was just kidding around. But her face stayed very still and very serious. She was not joking. It felt like my heart had been picked up and thrown against a hard, cold sidewalk. My first thought was not to ask her why she did it. I wanted to know when. When did she decide that the promises we made to each other on our wedding day meant nothing anymore? When did Anthony, who was just a person she worked with and someone she called a friend, become more important than a husband who had stayed by her side through every single hard time? She did not even blink or look away. She told me it had been going on for many months behind my back. She said she was simply tired of acting like she wanted to be married to me. I wanted to yell, I wanted to be angry, and I wanted to break something, but I stayed very still. I just sat there in my chair feeling empty and numb. In the movies, the husband usually flips over the table or runs out into the pouring rain. I did not do that. I was calm, maybe even too calm for her. It seemed to upset her that I wasn't falling apart right in front of her. She wanted me to cry and beg her to stay. She wanted me to plead for another chance to make things right. Instead, I let her words sit in the quiet room for a long time. Then I asked her one thing that made her eyes jump with surprise. I asked, "Did you really think I wouldn't find out on my own?" That was when I saw a tiny bit of fear start to grow in her eyes. The truth was that I already knew all about her and Anthony. I had seen the signs for a long time. I noticed the meetings that always seemed to last late into the night. I noticed how she suddenly cared so much more about how she looked and what she wore. I saw how her phone was always glued to her hand, hidden away from me like a secret. I saw it all. I had even followed her one afternoon when she thought I was busy. I watched her walk right into his apartment building. I had been getting ready for this day to come for a while. Even though I knew it was coming, it did not make the pain feel any less sharp or deep. But she did not know I was one step ahead of her the whole time. She thought she was the one with the power, but she was just telling me things I already knew. She tried to make excuses for what she did. She said Anthony made her feel like she was finally alive again. She said he gave her the kind of attention and excitement that she felt was missing in our quiet home. I just sat there and listened to her talk. In my head, I thought about all the years I had worked so hard for her. I thought about the extra shifts I worked late at night, and the things I gave up just to make her life better and easier. I was not a perfect man, but I was always honest and I was always loyal. It turned out that being loyal was not enough to keep her happy. Finally, she looked at me and asked, "Well, aren't you going to say anything at all?" I leaned back in my chair and looked her straight in the eyes. I said very quietly, "I wish you good luck. Because while you were busy pretending to have a new life with Anthony, I was busy talking to a lawyer." Her face turned white, like all the color had been drained out of it. She thought I would be broken and desperate to keep her in my life. Instead, I had already made a smart plan to leave. I told her that I had collected proof of what she was doing. I told her the divorce papers were almost ready to be signed. I made it clear she would not be taking anything more than what the law says she should get. Her dream world fell apart right then and there. Tears started to run down her face, but I knew they were not because she was sorry for hurting me. She was scared. She was scared that the safe, comfortable life I gave her was going to disappear forever. She was scared that Anthony might not want to help when things got hard, like paying the bills and taking care of a new baby. She started to beg me to talk and to think about it again. I just shook my head slowly. I told her, "You made your choice. Now you have to live with it." The weeks after that were a bit of a blur of moving boxes and paperwork. She packed up her things and moved into Anthony's small place. I signed the papers to end our marriage with a very steady hand. People think that a broken heart leaves you in pieces on the floor, but for me, it felt like being set free from a heavy weight. I had already felt the sadness of losing her long before she finally told me the truth. By the time she walked out the door for the last time, I was already looking at the future. Some months later, a friend told me that things were not going well with her and Anthony. The real world had finally arrived for them. Having a baby and dealing with money and bills made their life very stressful and unhappy. People said he was not as helpful or as caring as she thought he would be when they were keeping things a secret. I was not surprised at all. People like him are often nice when things are a secret, but they fail when things get real and difficult. I did not feel happy about her being sad. I just felt like that chapter of my life was finally closed. She picked her path and had to walk it alone. As for me, I built my life back up from the ground. I started seeing my old friends again and laughing more. I started doing the things I loved that I had stopped doing just to please her. For the first time in a very long time, I felt truly happy and light. Being calm that night surprised her, but it also saved me. Sometimes being strong is not about holding on tight. It is about knowing when it is time to let go. When I finally let go, I saw that I had not lost anything at all. She was the one who lost everything.